This is Minecraft's hardest escape room, and I have to escape at all costs, except the twist is that I created it, but I don't know any of the solutions. How is that possible? Well, watch the escape and find out. When I first spawned into the room, something was immediately off. I didn't have a crafting table, nor a chest. Typically, these escape rooms at least give me some starting resources to work with, but this time I had nothing. Well, no items. Around me were 6 different openings, each with various things going on inside of them. Through the biggest hole, I saw pots, each decorated with a unique pattern over a water stream. I guessed that at one point I'd be able to break them, but right now I had no idea how. In another wall was a ghast, and below it was a turtle over a bunch of empty hoppers. In a third wall was just a mushroom, and above it was the exit to the room, 6 blocks up. But again, I had no blocks, no items, no nothing. This was going to be hard. So I turned my attention to the final opening of the room. This room had a dropper that I couldn't reach and some pressure plates on the ground, and in the corner, a water stream. I guessed that when I broke the pots, their items would flow into this room, but I still had no way to break them, so I only had one choice: to go for the dropper. I jumped to land on top, but hit my head on barriers instead, and now I was stuck in this room, but I could finally get my hands on some actual items. Inside the dropper was a trident, hanging roots, glowberries, 2 anvils, beetroot, and a saddle. I then tried to activate the pressure plates, but nothing happened. I tried powering both at once, still nothing. But as I did, I noticed a hidden item frame in the water stream with an enchanted book inside of it. At first, it seemed totally impossible to reach, but I had a plan. There's a few certain things in the game that can be broken with a trident, item frames being one of them. So I threw my trident and popped out the book. I also got the item frame for good measure, and now I could see it was a book of channeling. But even if I had any reason to put this on my trident, I couldn't. I had an anvil, but no level, so again, I was just stuck. I checked outside the room with F5 to see if there was anything that could help me. Nothing, though I did see what looked like a hidden container in a lava lake in a future room, which was helpful to keep in mind, but it didn't change the fact that there was nothing else in this room. I felt like my next logical step was to put channeling, but I had no idea how. And then I remembered, there were 3 mobs in the other room. That's plenty of XP, and even better, I could get Uneasy Alliance. It was a trick I used in my last escape room. Killing a ghast in the overworld would give me plenty of levels all on its own. I just had to somehow get out of this box first. I did have 2 blocks, but it was a bit sketchy. Anvils. Once I placed them down, I couldn't recollect them at all, but to put on channeling, I would have to go back in this room to use the anvils and then out of this room to escape, so I had to be very careful in how I placed my anvils to ensure they were reusable. I thought about this for a couple of minutes and finally devised a plan. I would use one anvil on one of the pressure plates and use the other pressure plate as a collection mechanism to break the second anvil. This way I could reuse the second one to get out of the room as long as it didn't despawn while I was away. At first, I thought the plan would flop because there was no way to put the anvil on the correct Y level, but then I realized I could use the glowberries. By placing them here, I would have a stepping point to make the jump and get out of the room. The jump was a bit sketchy to make, but finally, after a few grueling minutes, I made it out. Exactly as planned, I killed the ghast and got 7 levels, which was way more than enough to put channeling on my trident. And after recollecting my anvil, I got back out of the room and was set to do something. But what? I now had channeling, but what was I supposed to do with it? Luckily, this puzzle wasn't that hard because the answers were in plain sight: turtles and mushrooms. Both of these have a special interaction that has to do with lightning, so I waited and waited until it started raining and set up a lightning station by the turtle. And just as I thought, I managed to get a bowl, a secret drop that only drops when turtles are struck by lightning. I then turned my attention to the mushroom. Striking it with lightning turned it brown, and at first glance this seems useless, but the pieces were already starting to come together. If I could somehow get my hands on a flower, I could feed it to my mushroom and use the bowl on it to get a suspicious stew of that flower. Ideally, it would be something like a blue orchid so I could get jump boost, but I wasn't sure quite yet what I would get. Regardless, I didn't have a flower, and the only place I could think to possibly get one was in this chamber with the pots. I had a pretty good hunch that while I couldn't punch the pots from where I was, I could break them with my trident, but I could only choose one column. Once I threw my trident in there, I wouldn't be able to get it back back anymore, so I had to pick the correct line of pots. Immediately, I had no idea which one I was supposed to go with, so I thought I was missing something, but after looking around more, I realized that wasn't the case. I really just had to gamble on a certain line of pots. I decided to go off a hunch. The correct line of pots would be the odd one out of the 4, and the only way to determine that would be based on the patterns of each pot. The 4 designs had a creeper, a sword, a villager, and a warden. These all seemed random at first, but after thinking it through, I had my answer. One of these was not like the other. 3 of these could hurt you. Creepers, swords, and wardens. Villagers could not. They are the only safe options, so I took a gamble and threw my trident at the villager pots. I ran down back into the other room to the water stream, and in came the pottery sherds, 2 fences, and a wither rose. And luckily my anvil was still around, so getting back up wasn't a problem. Well, actually, I'm lying. It was a very big problem. I hate this jump, but I did it, so there. Once I was up, I took a look at my items. The wither rose was peculiar since I couldn't place it on anything, but then I remembered my plan of suspicious stew. But why would I ever need a suspicious stew of withering? It's not like taking damage would help me, and then it clicked into place. I had to get up 6 blocks, and I only had 2. Well, 3 if you count the fence holding the mushroom back. And I had a damage source, suspicious stew of withering. I could use damage boost to jump up each fence, but I didn't have long. An effect from suspicious stew would only last 8 seconds, so a single mistake and it was all over. I had to damage boost up each jump perfectly, so I fed Gerard the flower, souped up, and went for it. And I was out. Just barely in the nick of time before withering ran out. The second room was much more sparse. In front of me, I only had a single sheep, but I knew something more. For my F5ing earlier, I knew there was a hidden something under this lava, and after a tiny bit of searching, I got it. A hopper with 2 hanging roots. Useless. The exit was across this giant pit of lava, and obviously I couldn't get across without any blocks or I'd surely die. Disconnect glitching wasn't viable either since the final block was up 1, and there was only one way to get a block. I had to kill Gerard. So after getting a block of wool, I hopped in to explore the second chamber I had glimpsed earlier. Inside this one was a yellow sheep, a water stream, and a button just waiting to be pressed. Sadly, it was just out of reach, but for some reason, the sheep just vanished out of nowhere, and a few seconds later, I had a block to stand on and reach the button. And I got bones. Tons of bones and another hanging root, weirdly. And when I re-entered the main room, I just barely caught a glimpse of some water falling down from the exit. That was my ticket out. But as I was watching it, it disappeared. The water just dried out. I didn't know how, but now this told me that this room was on a timer. I only had a short window of time after pressing the button to reach the water if I wanted to escape. But how on earth was I going to get there across the lava? For one thing, I couldn't even get both my blocks on one side. I need to use each one of them to get over the respective side of the wall, so I couldn't really keep one with me. So I hatched up a scuffed but potentially doable plan. The first course of action was to make both of the wool white. If I could get them together, I could craft carpets and make myself 3 blocks instead of just 2, allowing me to bridge over the lava. I wasn't sure this was going to work, but I knew you could place carpets down on water, so I hoped it was the same for lava. The next part of the plan was a bit more sketchy. I wanted to try and see if I could pick up both white wool from above and get lucky with the drop, and then this happened. I guess Minecraft just wants to couple items together so badly it can even phase through walls. Honestly, the thought never even crossed my mind, but I'm glad it happened by chance. So I crafted up my carpets, got out a stopwatch, and went to time how long the water lasted. I pressed the button, ran to the other side, and counted. Just under 55 seconds. I wasn't sure if that would be enough time to bridge over, but I knew I had to be quick if it was. No mistakes allowed. So I pressed the button one last time, coupled my carpets on the correct side, and began bridging. I couldn't let a single carpet burn in the lava, otherwise it would all be over, and if I ever slowed down, the water could retract at any second, and I'd have to do it all again. I had no idea how much time had passed at this point, and I was almost at the edge of the lava, and when I was sure I could make the jump, I leaped over and barely made it up the water, right as it disappeared into ice. As I entered the next room, I was immediately caught off guard. There was no exit and only one backward sign, and it said, subscribe. I'm trying to reach 2 million subscribers before the end of the year, so if you could consider subscribing if you're enjoying the video, that would truly be appreciated. But thank you so much, and let's get back to the actual room because of course this is a fake set. The real room is right over over here. As I entered the next room, I had a ton of new things to focus on. Immediately was the giant hole covered by cobwebs. Above me was an armor stand, and above that, a zoglin, and my items were not so good. To the left of me was a pig named Resist, and a gap over the void to the other side. I checked the other end, and there was another tunnel, but this time with a hole in the ceiling with a wooden sword in it, enchanted with knockback 2, and above all that, a dropper. I had to find a way to power that, and after going back to look around more in the maze room, I saw it. A pressure plate with redstone dust leading into an observer. If I could get the zoglin to navigate to that pressure plate, it would almost certainly power the dropper, but how was I going to do that? I tried to get the zoglin's attention by jumping, but for some reason he didn't seem to care about me at all, and then I realized he was aggroed onto the armor stand. That's what had his attention. If I could place the armor stand in the right place, I could control the zoglin's movements, but I had to be super careful, otherwise I would hit the armor stand straight into the void and I couldn't afford to lose it. So carefully I spam clicked the armor stand and managed to get it as an item, and it worked. The zoglin was now aggroed onto me and I could just lead it over to the pressure plate. I couldn't force him to walk further, but luckily he stepped onto the plate on his own accord, and the dropper dropped me an anvil. Wait, what? Well, the exit was definitely on the other side of this hole, but how would I get there? There was no way I was making a head hitter anvil jump, so how could I possibly get across? And then after checking my items, I realized the solution. I could use the pig. I could saddle the pig and hit him across with knockback while I flew across the gap riding him. This was a trick I used in my last escape room, but in that one it was far easier since I could freeze time and actually get on the pig. But now I had to do it without time freezing powers. I had to hit the pig and mount him at the perfect speed to make it across. Just a single misclick or misinput and the whole run would end here. I had to be perfect. I used my beetroot to lead the pig over, and everything was ready. It was now or never. So I ran up and just barely made the jump over the void, and I was out. Or at least that's what I thought, because in reality I was still very stuck. I had to get up 2 blocks with only 1 anvil. Just jumping on it wouldn't nearly be enough. I needed some sort of boost, and then I realized the zoglin. It makes sense, because this room would be far too easy if it was just what I'd already done. I had to navigate this zoglin back through the maze so it could damage boost me up over this ledge, but for that I had to get his attention. He was too far away to see me normally, so I had to use the armor stand, and I realized I could hit the armor stand with my sword onto the cobwebs and hopefully get the zoglin to pathfind through the maze towards it, but I only had 1 go at this. If I failed or missed or anything, the armor stand would be gone into the void, so I placed it in the best place to attract him towards me and hit it into the cobweb, and nothing. He didn't see it. The armor stand was sinking and soon I would be out of luck. It would all be over. But at the last second, the zoglin took notice and began charging over. I was saved. Except I wasn't, and it was a dead end. I had accidentally led the zoglin into a dead end in the maze, and now I was about to lose my armor stand. I watched in what can only be described as pure misery while the armor stand slowly sunk into the void. I had actually just lost. But as it fell, I noticed something. It looked like it teleported, and yeah, it did. Teleported into a hole in the wall, and apparently I had infinite of these whenever they fell. That made things much more convenient, and now I began my journey of jumping across the void with resist, placing the armor stand, whacking it into the abyss, and jumping back across the void and repeating it all over again to navigate this zoglin through the maze. Except on the last jump, resist panicked and game ended himself in the void, so I really couldn't afford to mess up now, or I would totally lose. Though luckily the zoglin was just far enough to where he could see me without the armor stand, meaning I was set to proceed. I collected the armor stand from the respawn point and got ready to be boosted. This jump was honestly absolutely miserable to do and took ages of trying, but finally I managed to stick it and make it into the next room. The second I entered the next room, I immediately got shot at by a skeleton, so I didn't have all that much time to look around. I noticed a bunch of redstone as well as a calibrated skulk sensor above the skeleton, but what that was all for was a mystery. Without anything else I could really do, I dropped down. Now I could see that the contraption was hooked up to a dropper, but I didn't seem to have any way to activate it, nor did I really have any time to think. With the skeleton constantly trying to snipe at me, it was impossible to do anything without a place to take cover. I began running around in search of things I could do and found this weird platform with an arrow pointing upwards and a hole in the wall behind it with a sign saying, "Skull awaits you." I wasn't sure if that meant death, because if it did, I was not looking forward to that. But then Then I noticed a second little end portal pillar. This thing was very similar to the setup from the previous room, exactly the right height for me to place an armor stand and hit it from platform to platform. In another hole in the wall was a weird line of arrows in a dispenser that said Thorns 3. Not sure why I would need that though. What I needed most right now was some way to hide from the skeleton, and then I realized that sign from earlier didn't mean death, it meant skull, skeleton skull. You see, one of my favorite features in all of Minecraft is that if you wear a mob head, that mob can't see you from a far distance. So if I could get a skeleton skull, it would make this entire room so much easier without being noticed by the skeleton. So I placed my armor stand and hit it onto the platform. I guessed that what was inside of this 3x3 platform was a dispenser with the skeleton skull, so I just needed some way to power it. And then I realized the wood. I could turn it into a button and power the dispenser. It might seem stupid to turn a full block into a button, and I did hesitate, but then I remembered the redstone line I saw earlier for the thorns. In order to activate that one, I would need a button anyway, so this was a good choice to get done with. So I crafted the block into a button, placed it above the arrow, and as I thought, a skeleton skull was dispensed onto the armor stand. Slight problem though, I couldn't really take it off. Luckily that was quickly solved when I remembered I had a knockback sword, and now I was totally invisible to the skeleton and free to continue with the room. I decided to now mine these 2 dripstone I had seen earlier, since before it would have been totally impossible with the skeleton shooting me. After collecting the dripstone, I messed around on the platform before I realized I was stuck. But then I remembered I still had the weird hole in the wall. I was hesitant to give up my armor stand, but I couldn't see it being more useful than this, so I placed it down on the cobweb, broke the web, and trick shotted it off the wall onto the end portal frame. It was a perfect shot, and with the help of my button, I managed to snag a Thorns 3 helmet just as the sign promised. I wasn't sure exactly what the point of this was, but there was only one plausible thing that these thorns could do, and that was hurt the skeleton, but why? Why would I need the skeleton to take damage? And then it clicked. The very first thing I had seen in this room, the calibrated skulk sensor. I had to make a noise up there, and the only way to do that was to make the skeleton take damage. I took a look at the redstone powering into the skulk sensor. Seemed to be around signal strength 6 to 8, so I checked the Minecraft wiki, and just as I thought, signal strength 7 was mob taking damage. The moment the skeleton shot me and took damage from my thorns, that sensor would go off and I would get an item from that dropper. So I swapped headgear, got in position, and let him fire. Quickly I swapped back to my skeleton skull, and there was my item straight from the dropper, a trident. This was perfect. If you noticed earlier, there were some random spikes of dripstone completely out of reach in the ceiling, but now I could get them thanks to my trident. So after carefully knocking down the pointed dripstone one by one, I was slowly but surely able to pillar my way out of the room and into the next one. When I entered this room, I was greeted by a very strange design on the wall. Across from me was the exit and what looked like a hole in the wall, but I wasn't sure what it was for yet, so I jumped down to explore. Inside the villager's mouth were 2 netherrack and a gold pickaxe on a block of glass, all over a ton of hoppers. I used F5 to search around to see if there was anything else and saw an observer connected to a line of redstone that seemed to go left towards the hole I saw earlier. All I had to do was place a block on top of the observer's face, but there was nothing in my inventory I could think to use, so I explored the other corners of the room. There was a small section of glass that led to some hoppers that I assumed were connected to the giant batch under the pickaxe earlier, so to test it I threw a seagrass in and broke the glass to reach the hopper, and to my surprise, along with the seagrass, I found 13 bamboo already inside. Sadly, I couldn't place any of it or I would be totally home free. In the other corner of the room was a giant Swiss cheese formation of blocks with some item frames that I quickly found hidden inside. After knocking them down with my trident, I got my hands on another hanging root and a mushroom. This still didn't get me any closer to powering the observer though. I couldn't place the mushroom on bedrock without a lower light level, and the hanging roots were the most useless block in the game. So without any other ideas, I decided to try and get the netherrack by collecting the pickaxe. Now I could mine the netherrack, but I still had no way of figuring out how to power this observer. I noticed that my pickaxe had a very specific number of durability on it, but I wasn't sure why, and coincidentally or not, it happened to be the same number of bone meal I could get, 18 from the bones plus the 1 in my inventory. Was that by chance, or was I onto something? I could try bone mealing the mushroom now that it was dark, but I couldn't think of any use for a full-grown mushroom. All of its blocks would be useless and unplaceable. So without any more ideas on how to proceed, I began F5ing around the walls to see if I could get any more info, and there was really nothing of note until I got to the last wall. Some block was hidden in the depths of my screen, and after a bit of squinting, I realized what it was. Nylium. But why? How would that ever be useful to me? I couldn't see any way this random block in the wall I couldn't mine could help me escape. I was totally stuck. I had no way to do anything. But then I realized it was so obvious. I just had to mine the villager's face. But then I looked it up and it wasn't possible with a gold pickaxe, so thanks Mojang for making this material totally useless. But still, what in the world was I meant to do here? I had absolutely no idea, so I tried to think about the task at hand a bit more clearly. I somehow had to place a block on the face of that observer. If I could place a mushroom, I could then place the dripstone spike on it. Problem was, I couldn't place mushrooms on netherrack. But wait, I could if it was nylium. If I could spread that nylium from the wall onto this netherrack, I could definitely place my mushroom and place the dripstone on top to power the observer. It was perfect. I just needed a way to spread it, and then it clicked. Bone meal. If my pickaxe and bone meal really matched up perfectly, I knew what I had to do. I put my netherrack on the wall next to the nylium, and then I bone mealed. And it worked. The nylium had creeped up from the one in the corner onto this new netherrack. Now I had a plan. I had to carefully lead the nylium over this wall, down the bend, and onto the final location to place the mushroom. But since I had such a specific amount of blocks, I knew I had to be careful. One single misclick and the entire run was over. So I converted all my bones to bone meal and began coercing the fungus over. I thought I lost when this happened, but then I remembered I had a dripstone, so barely I was saved. Slowly but surely I continued the journey to the villager's mouth, and after doing some clever inverse placing with my other dripstone, I had barely done it. Just as my pickaxe broke and bone meal ran out, I could place the mushroom. But before I did that, I thought of something. I had no blocks, and this wasn't really linked up to any dispenser, meaning the way out of this room was likely the hole I saw earlier, which meant only one thing: water. And if that water was for some reason on a timer like the one in room 2, I had to be fast. So I got ready in position and placed it on the observer. I broke the netherrack right away and waited at the hopper to pick up my mushroom, and sprinted over to make it up the water in literally the last second before it disappeared. And I was out. 2 rooms left before I beat the hardest escape room in Minecraft. To enter this next room, I had to go through a portal. Nothing crazy, but the moment I exited, I was immediately blasted in the face by a ghast. Not a fun way to start a puzzle at all. I ran around to the other side of the chamber to see what was probably the unlit exit portal and a mushroom that I couldn't grab quite yet. I tried to see if there was any fancy portal tricks by crouching on the edge, but there was nothing there. But when I got back, I spotted something. A wall of glass with what looked like to be a line of basalt blocking off a whole other room I had missed earlier. I tried to mine the basalt to get it in, but it was immediately regenerated. There was no way I was getting into this room unless I could stop that generator, but I couldn't really do that without drowning in lava first. So out of ideas, I ran back to the ghast opening, and then it hit me. Literally. As I hit the fireball, I accidentally deflected it onto the glass, and then it clicked. I had to blow up the basalt generator, and only then could I mine the basalt and get out. So punch after punch, I whittled down the glass wall until finally I scored an absolute beauty of a shot and blew up every observer and piston in sight. So I ran over to the generator and broke in. Inside the newly unlocked room, there was a villager trading hanging roots for loyalty 3 tridents, so I guess they weren't that useless after all. I decided to trade all 4 because let's be real, what else can hanging roots do? And found a boat that I couldn't really get, but I could use to dismount back into the original chamber. But before that, I also spotted a blue orchid, and I already knew exactly what this was going to be for: suspicious stew. Specifically for jump boost. All I needed for jump boost was the brown mushroom. But to get the mushroom, I needed jump boost, but to get jump boost, I needed a mushroom, so I was in a permanent loop and I was trapped. Well, I could use the netherrack. It was risky since there was no way to get it back, but the room was practically begging for me to make suspicious stew, so I knew what I had to do. I collected the mushroom, but now what? Yeah, I could make jump boost, but I still had to get out. Obviously, at this point, the exit was going to be this nether portal. The question is now, how do I light it? I didn't have a flint or steel or fire charge, so they only left one thing that could possibly light this portal: the ghast. If I could deflect the ghast fireball at the netherrack, it would explode and I could pick it up, and then put it in the portal and light the exit portal the exact same way with another fireball. But as I rounded the bend, I realized something else. This was an impossible deflection. There was simply no way I was going to be able to get a fireball to curve around the bend like this. The angle just wasn't possible. So again, I was stuck. I started messing around, throwing the tridents at the fireballs and just kind of waiting for the pieces to fall into place, and then I noticed something odd. The fireballs were deflecting at suspiciously weird angles. I would hit a fireball at a certain angle, but it would fly towards a totally different direction. What was going on? And then I discovered something insane. The fireball would deflect towards the direction I was looking when it made contact. No matter how I hit it, if I looked a certain way, it would deflect that way. With this, if I timed my movements perfectly, I could swivel my head right 90 degrees and at the very last moment get the fireball to hit the netherrack dead on. And after a few minutes of shooting tridents getting ready, I was pretty sure I hit the perfect shot. The netherrack had dropped. Now I just had to hit it one more time, this time in the portal. And after a long few minutes of trick-shotting later, and I mean a long few minutes, this happened. The portal had lit. All I had to do was make my stew of jump boost, jump to the portal frame and into the portal, and I was out. I was in the final room. The final room was strange. It didn't appear to have an explicit exit to reach, but it certainly had a lot to take in. There was a strange window by the edge fitted with a dropper in the floor right in front of me. It seemed like I had to activate all those pressure plates outside and the dropper would fire an item, but how? They were way too far to throw any items and the angle was too weird for me to hit it with a trident. There was also another dropper powered by this AND gate. I had to get power to both of these redstone lines, but how? Though by far the best part of this room was that finally, for the first time in this whole map, I had a crafting table. My crafting recipes were sparse but intriguing. I doubted I needed red dye for anything, but the bamboo block was very alluring. But what's more, there was one more recipe that didn't show up that I realized I had. Pots. I could craft my sherds back into 3 pots that I could use to get around. This gave me some ideas on how I was going to power the dropper right next to me. I had to get items into that hopper minecart, meaning that somehow I had to get items right over it. And then I realized pots weren't full blocks, and because of that, I could place one of them on one side of the other with a very precise angle. And once I had this set up, I could deposit an item from afar into my pot and it would get picked up by the hopper minecart. The other hopper was a bit more difficult. This time I only had one pot, and while I could place that on the side of this iron bar, I couldn't put any items in it from this angle, meaning I had to resort to something else. Luckily, it didn't take too long for me to figure out how to crack this. Literally. I had to crack the pot with my trident just like room 1, and I got a stone slab. But luckily, this cryptic item wasn't cryptic at all because the crafting guide pretty much gave away what I had to do. I had to craft the grindstone. And now the only thing I could really disenchant were the tridents. Why? Well, it was starting to make sense to me. This whole escape room, I had been deflecting tridents off of entities, off of ghasts, item frames, fireballs, everything. So if they work on entities, who's to say they don't work on anvils as well? If I could break each of these coarse fruit, which yes is a mechanic, I could bounce my tridents onto the pressure plates. The problem with loyalty was the trident would return to me before bouncing, which is exactly why I would want to disenchant my tridents. So I went ahead and disenchanted, but I made sure to keep one to break the chorus plants. I then went down the line by the window, breaking the chorus plants one by one, and then I threw my normal tridents. Everything was going perfectly. It would bounce right off and activate the pressure plate. Too perfectly, actually, because then I realized the anvils were despawning. I tried to throw my last trident, but it was a second too late and the trident spiraled into the void. Without a way to activate the pressure plates, there was no chance I could power the dispenser and get my item to escape. So I had just lost. It was all over. I racked my brain trying to think of anything I possibly could, anything to get me out of this mess, but I had nothing. 20 minutes went by and I had still gotten nowhere. At one point, I was F5ing to see if I missed anything and saw a random stream of water descend from one of the previous rooms. I had no idea why, but it's not like that helped me in any way, so it was pointless to think about. I had genuinely lost. I ran around losing my mind, but there was nothing I could do. It got so bad, I began to hallucinate that Kenadian had come to debunk my escape room, except he was real.
Okay, there's a lot to explain, and I'm not going to explain it right, but okay, there's another you. There's another you out there, I promise. I saw him, another Wifies, and he's helping you solve the puzzles.
Somehow, in this single-player world, Kenadian, someone who I thought I would never see in my escape room, was here. But how? Why? Had he come to debunk the room? There was nothing to debunk. I had done it all myself. My escape rooms aren't fake, they never have been. But that didn't change the fact that he was here. How did you get here? This is a single-player world. How are you even here?
It's hard to explain. I think I can prove it if I can just show you the person I'm talking about.
What other person? This is my single-player world.
I have a plan. I can show you proof of what I'm talking about. this second you that trapped me in here. But we'd have to get out.
I didn't believe a word he was saying, but the fact still remained we were both trapped, and we need to find a way to get out. So I decided to cooperate with him. I think I was supposed to activate these 3 pressure plates and break the torches, but I ran out of tridents, and I can't really do anything.
You can't just throw items on them?
No, they're way too far
I guess they're too
away.
far. Yeah. Here, I mean, I have items. Maybe some combination of what we have.
Together, we racked our brains trying to think of creative ways we could escape given the items we both had, but we couldn't really get anything to work.
I have dripstone. Okay, I know this glitch where if you place... We could do a crawl glitch, right? If I place a block where someone logs off and then they log back on, we'll be in crawl. We have nothing to place it on. Oh, no, I have another idea. I know what we can do, okay?
Yeah?
I have the armor stand. I saw what you were doing with the armor stand, right?
I have a knockback sword. Yeah. How do you know that? How do you know I did that?
A bit of stalking. Here, I'll place it here, and I think if you get enough momentum, yeah. We'll definitely get it.
It's out of reach. I think it's maybe out of reach.
I don't think it wouldn't have been enough anyway, would it?
No, we only have 1 armor stand, right? Even if I hit it.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
We were now 2 of us, but we were stuck. But as I was messing around, losing my mind, this happened.
I mean, okay. I didn't think about the fact that fireballs can't break grindstones.
Oh,
I mean,
that makes sense.
I think they can break glass. Wait, yeah, they can break glass, right? And there's glass right there. If we got like the perfect shot through the glass. Wait, did you?
What?
I think we lost the trident.
Wait. Oh, I didn't mean to go through the portal. I mean, I meant to go through the portal. I didn't think anything would happen to the trident. I thought it would come back to me.
It's not fully gone? Hang on.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I don't know if we can do anything here, because all we have in the nether is just a ghast. Yeah.
I don't know how to explain this. The trident is there. It's outside the window, but it's not... Okay, it's not like it hit anything, right? It's not stuck. It's floating around.
The trident that I threw?
Yeah. It's just like hovering, bouncing back and forth, teleporting, kinda, just floating, doing tricks.
What do you mean it's doing tricks? I guess it's kind of surprising it didn't come back to me, but like I guess it would have popped as an item. I'm glad it's not gone though.
It's getting kind of closer. Now it's getting further.
What do you mean? It's.
I don't know what it's doing, but okay, yeah, like every few seconds it gets closer to me, and I wonder if it's gonna come back. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but yeah, it's just going like back and forth, sort of like north-ish, south-ish.
It's just moving back and forth?
Yeah.
Is it moving right now?
No. A little.
It's standing still right now.
Yeah, it's kind of glitchy, but it's in one place.
And now, did it start to move?
Yes. Yeah, now it's moving a lot.
We had discovered a glitch, a way to control tridents across dimensions, a glitch that I had almost discovered 4 years ago, but didn't test out. Wait, that's insane.
Wait! We can use this. This is useful. Remember when we were trying to hit the pressure plates? We could. You're at about the right Y level. Yeah. Hang on, I could probably guide you, right?
Okay, yeah,
because you're close. You're close. You would just have to go like northeast, mostly east.
East. Okay.
And then you'll.
Wait, this is as far east as I can go. The rest is just straight into a pit of lava. Am I close to it or no?
You have to go quite a bit further. Wait, is it actually the lava pit?
It's exactly where the lava is. There's no way I will survive. I'm just gonna die if I jump down there.
Wifies?
Yeah.
I think I have a way.
A way to what? To use the trident?
To get in the lava.
You're gonna jump in the lava?
Yeah. Alright, you can call me ridiculous, but I have banners, you have the knockback sword. If you hit me far enough through the lava, I might be able to reach the spot. And then you just have to wait in the overworld and guide me to the pressure plates. You'll see what I mean.
Okay.
How'd you do it? Like...
Just throw it, yeah.
That? Okay, do you see it?
Yeah, oh my god, it's actually just floating there.
And just to test, is it moving north?
Yeah, it's going north.
Okay, under the wind platform.
Under the wind platform, exactly like you said it was. That's insane. Yeah, now it's going back. That's nuts. Are you sure you want to do this? Because if you die, then I don't know what happens.
We've tried everything else, Wifies. I don't know. we know this will work. I mean, we don't know this will work, but we know everything else doesn't.
Okay.
And what else is there? Giving up?
No, of course not. Never.
At least this one gives us a chance. I guess whenever you're ready.
3, 2, 1. Are you okay?
Okay, I'm alive.
Okay, I'm going back in. Nice.
Alright, go back.
Perfect. I'm going back in. Where is it?
You see it?
I see it. Okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I see it. Yeah, it's a bit low.
Where do I need to go?
You're almost there actually. Just go east. I don't see the trident. Oh, wait. You're like in it. You're almost in the pressure plate. Maybe a block off, but yeah, you're in it.
Which direction?
Perhaps north.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, this should be it. This has to be the block.
You got it.
Please
tell
me.
You got it.
I got it?
You got it hit the pressure plate. Wait, 2 more left. Just go straight east.
2 more.
That's huge. I didn't think it was gonna happen.
I didn't even know if it was gonna work. Okay,
Go,
I'm getting the banners.
Just go.
Wait, I'm
east.
low on health. How far east, like relative to the last one?
2 blocks. They're only 2 blocks apart, each piston, or 1 block
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. I got this. Right here.
Yes, you got it. Nice. 1 more. 1 more and we're out.
Okay. Okay, lost 1 banner.
Okay, you just have to go 1 more block to the
I
east.
lost a banner.
Don't
Weebies,
lose
this isn't so simple.
You got it.
Yes.
I got a bed. We got the item. Oh, and we have to be able to get out now. Come back. And there it was. We had got it. A bed popped out of the dropper, and with Ken's help, we figured out a way to crawl and escape. I got a few extra items, and we did it. With some conveniently placed ladders, I had won. But now what? Wait, so... Whoa, this is what happens now, though? I don't actually remember what happens after I win a map.
Have you ever stepped off the win platform?
Well, no, it's void. Obviously, you can't just... What? This whole thing is barriers?
Well, okay, I think last time I saw him, he came at me from this direction.
Who's him?
So I guess we go that way.
What? Who's... Okay. He said words, but I didn't really process them. I had never made it this far before. My memory had always just cut out after finishing a room. I mean, the video ended, what more is there to it? We kept walking through the void. How had I not known that such a place existed out here? I'd always thought it was just empty. But as we walked, memories began coming back. Memories that didn't feel mine, but at the same time did. Why? What in the world was going on here? Why were all the other escape rooms here? Who made all this? Who did make this? What was happening?
I think what we're about to see, well, if this is what I'm hoping it is, this might be the answer to the gaps in your memory.
What?
Well, I said I saw another one of you while I watched you play the escape room. I don't know what this is, but if we're lucky, this is the proof I was looking for, that I told you about.
That's convenient.
We conserved resources.
It's just
Here.
Wifies heads, yeah?
I say, listen, I don't know what exactly we're looking for, and I don't know what's here, but I say we split up and look for information.
Okay. What? This place is so eerie. Whoa. What? What in the world is this? I'm the only me. I don't know. What is this place? Why does this exist? What? What? This is creepy. Test log. Wifies net 24. Learning. Trials. What in the world? They're learning to play the escape room. Am I one of them? Hello? Hello? Look up.
Wifies.
Yeah? Oh.
Up here. I don't think they can hear you.
Yeah, I don't think they can either.
Here, I might have found what we're looking for. If you'll come up this vine.
Whoa.
Well, here's the main office. Whoever we're looking for, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be up there, but I don't know what it's gonna be like if we meet him. So, this is our chance to turn back.
I don't know if I believe you, but I have to know what's going on. I need some sort of answer to this. I'll go up. I want to go up.
Lead the way.
Are you the one who did all this? I'm honestly surprised you made it out, but yes, I apologize you had to find out. Are you me? I'm not you, but you are me. Wifies, you're a clone. You aren't real. You're a bot made for content. That's all you are. So, I don't get it. I'm not real? Does that mean Kenadian was telling the truth? Did you solve those puzzles for me? Was it never really me solving them? What happens to me now? Well, as per procedure, you finished your tasks, so now you'll get recycled into scrap parts for future iterations. Well, I'm glad you keep it green at least.
What? You can't just accept this, can you?
What? Am I really worth anything? I'm a fake. I couldn't even solve a single puzzle. What purpose do I serve here anyway? I've been lying to people.
No, that's not true. Wifies, I watched your entire run. He helped you on some of the unfair puzzles, like having a zoglin launch you over and over without dying, damage boosting with only 7 seconds of wither effect, waiting for a thunderstorm when you had an item that could have despawned. You were practically set up for failure, but you still solved most of them yourself. I promise, you're smarter than you think.
Don't be ridiculous, he's a buffoon. Every puzzle he solved on his own was a fluke. He's just an inferior version of me. That's not true. The fact I'm here must count for something. The fact we're talking right now, the fact that I'm alive, you can't just scrap me. I can and I will. There cannot be two Wifies just existing. You have to go. That's ridiculous. You can't just get rid of me. I'm you. You are nothing. You're an inferior me. You know less, you are less. Well, if I'm a clone of you, then surely we know the same amount. You couldn't solve those puzzles without help either. I bet I'm just as smart as you are. Ridiculous. Do you even hear yourself? You're a clone. You're not real. Okay, how about we have a contest? Smarter Wifies gets to stay. The other disappears forever. Just to prove you're an idiot, I accept. Then you know there's only one way to settle this. Deadly Trivia Final Battle to the Death. But who will write the questions?
I can write the questions.
You're on.
Welcome to Minecraft Trivia, where you, the clones of each other, are the contestants. We'll ask as many questions as needed until one of you is proven inferior and drops dead. Ready? Let's begin. Question 1. How many different painting resolutions are there? That's how many unique shapes of painting you can get. Is it A, 6, B, 7, C, 8, or D, 9? And the correct answer was 7.
You survive.
That was scary.
Question 2. There is one item in Minecraft that can naturally be found with an orange item name. Is it A, any enchanted item, B, the nether star, C, a conduit, or D, a white banner? And the answer was D, the white banner. Question 3. Which item or items can be crafted into a dye? A, black dye plus light gray dye, B, a sea pickle, C, pink petals, or D, purple dye combined with white dye? The answer is pink petals. Question 4. How many block state combinations of the block cake are there? Is it A, 7, B, 23, C, 119, or D, 136? And the answer was A, 7. Question 5. As of 1.20, there are 53 unique staircase blocks. With that knowledge, how many unique slabs are there? And the answer is D, 57. Question 6. Which item was removed from the creative inventory? And the answer is A, Petrified oak slab. Question 7. Before 1.20, there was one entity that could power weighted pressure plates, but yet not power wooden ones. And the answer is C. It's bats. Question 8. Skulk calibration level 6 cannot detect which of the following mob interactions. And the answer was B. Applying carpets. Question 9. Which of the following is not a valid block state for pointed dripstone? And the answer is A. Beam. Question 10. When using Control plus middle click in creative, which of the following blocks will appear to have NBT data, i.e. chests, but does not actually save any NBT data? The answer is A. A bed.
But of course, we were both Wifies. We had the same mind. Question after question, we both answered the same thing. And after a while, we were both on one heart. It was anyone's game. A single wrong move, and I would lose. But as you can probably tell, the one telling this story is not him. It's me.
Question 11. If you enter a nether portal as a loyalty trident attempts to return to you, it will A. Immediately drop as an item. B. Keep traveling in the same direction until it loses momentum and stops. C. Follow your nether coordinates even though it remains in the overworld. Or D. Travel through the portal and then immediately drop as an item. And the answer for question 11 is, of course, C. It follows your coordinates in the nether.
And just like that, it was over. I had won. Yes, in this story, I might be a clone, but given that the real Wifies is writing this script right now, what truly am I if not just an extension of his imagination? And what could possibly be more real than that?